get started. Good afternoon again, everyone. My name is Anye. I'm one of our Assistant Directors of Admissions here at Drexel University Kline School of Law. I'm also here joined today by my colleagues, Ina Halili and Jacqueline Marsh. You all want to say hello, introduce yourselves.
Good
Hi,
afternoon.
everyone.
Oh, sorry, Ina. I'll let you get started.
Oh, Hi, everyone. My name is Ina Halili. I am the Assistant Dean of Enrollment Management. I'm super excited to be here today and help answer questions about the three-year Summer Start program. It's such a great and unique offering, so you'll learn so much more about it today.
And good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jacqueline Marsh, Associate Director of Admissions. I'm excited to get to know all of you, both a little bit today and in the upcoming weeks and months during the application process.
Awesome. Thank you both. We're also here today, joined by our student panel who will introduce themselves in just a moment. But thank you again for joining us today. We're here to discuss one of our programs that is very unique to Kline, which is our three-year Summer Start JD program. And so before we dive into all of the details and information, just want to give everyone a few housekeeping notes. Currently, we are in our priority decision timeline, which means that our first application deadline is November 15th. And so submitting your application by November 15th means that you'll be among the first to be reviewed for admission. You'll be among the first to be considered for any scholarship awards, as well as receiving a guaranteed decision by January 15th. And so if you are also in the circumstance of taking your LSAT after this date, if you're taking it later in November or December or even January, you can submit your materials and just letting the admissions committee know that you're retaking your LSAT or taking your LSAT for the first time, and we will hold your application for review as long as your materials are submitted by November 15th. And so also the deadline to apply for the three-year Summer Start program is January 15th. And again, if you have your LSAT score coming in after that time or after the November 15th deadline, you can still submit your materials. All right, and so let's dive in. So we designed today's session just to give you an inside look at how our three-year Summer Start program works, what makes it unique, and how it might align with your goals as you are preparing for law school. So of course, we'll primarily focus on the three-year Summer Start. However, some of the information that you'll receive today is applicable to our two-year accelerated program. So if you're interested in that or something that you'd like more information in, we will be hosting a webinar for that separately next Tuesday, October 28th at 12 p.m. So the same time. And so yeah, we'll keep you posted. Stay tuned for information regarding the invitation as well as the webinar link to be sent out very soon. And so we'll speak in further context to the two-year accelerated program next week, but today's session will focus primarily on the three-year Summer Start. All right, so here we are. The three-year Summer Start program offers an intentional and early path into law school. It's really designed to help students acclimate to the academic demands, build confidence, and establish connections early on in the law school process and earlier on before the fall semester begins. So beginning in May, it provides that sort of strategic advantage while opening up more opportunities for later on in your law school journey. And so some of these advantages include easing into the demands of law school, spreading out your first year courses, forming close connections from day one, and creating flexibility for experiential learning. So just starting with easing into law school first, beginning your education in a smaller summer cohort really does give you the time to adjust and pace yourself and some of the expectations of law school before the full fall class arrives. And so this kind of gradual transition helps to reduce some of the, the first year stressors of law school and really building your confidence early on. And in addition to that, you'll also be able to complete a portion of your 1L curriculum during the summer. And so that'll lighten up your fall and spring semester course loads. And so this would allow for deeper engagement with the material and a more manageable balance between your academics and hopefully your personal life. And so you'll also, the summer cohort is intentionally small as well. We want to foster some close connections with your faculty and your classmates as well. And so you'll benefit from that personalized attention and sense of community that actually will carry on throughout your time here at Kline. And so in addition to that, you'll also start early with your schedules, freeing up some of your courses and opening up time later on for co-ops and clinics, some of those experiential learning opportunities, including your pro bono, your required pro bono hours as well. And just gaining a practical, hands-on legal experience sooner than, if you were to, and also the more flexibility in planning your coursework. And then so continuing on, one of those other benefits would be securing your financial aid early. So beginning your studies in May of 2026 specifically ensures that you can take full advantage of the existing federal aid structure before the upcoming changes take effect on July 1st, 2026. And if you have any questions related to financial aid, we ask that you please reach out to our manager of the law school financial aid, who is Mary D. Rivera. Unfortunately, she is not able to join us today, but we will definitely have her contact information at the end of this session so that you can connect with her. And lastly, staying ahead of the curve. Students who enter the fall semester, students will enter, the fall semester from the summer semester already grounded in legal study habits, terminology, and just the academic culture, giving you a strong foundation that you can just perform confidently and successfully throughout law school. So you really do benefit from that head start. All right, so I will stop sharing my screen at this time. And we will transition to our student panel, who will introduce themselves in just one moment. So now that we've covered just some background on the 3-year Summer Start program, shifting now to what we believe is the most valuable part of you joining us today, which is hearing directly from our students. Our student panelists are current Drexel Kline Law students and are participating in the 3-year Summer Start program. And so they've experienced these pathways firsthand and can offer the insight into what life is like as a student. And from managing your coursework to building community to preparing any experiential learning opportunities. So let's start with our introductions. We have Mikayla Smith and Sam Cruz. Sam, if you want to start us off with just introducing yourself, if you can provide your hometown, your undergraduate school and major, and just your area of interest.
Yeah, so hello everybody. My name is Sam Cruz. I'm from Stewartsville, New Jersey. It's a small town up in North Jersey. My undergraduate school was Rutgers University, New Brunswick, and I'm interested in family criminal immigration law.
Thank you so much, Sam. And same for you, Mikayla, if you can just provide your name, your hometown, your undergraduate school, and your area of interest.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name's Mikayla Smith. I'm from Northeast Philadelphia. I went to Temple University and I majored in sociology there. And my area of interest right now, because that can change, is civil litigation. Thanks.
Indeed, I'm glad that you mentioned that because you definitely can explore different areas here at Kline, and you are not committed to one particular area and in general. And so thank you both for introducing yourself. And it's great to have you here with us. So I'll start off with a few questions, and then at the end, we'll open the floor up to questions to the audience. Please feel free to use the Q&A chat throughout the session, and we'll answer questions throughout or live at the end. All right, so starting with both Sam and Mikayla, I would like to know, why did you choose to apply for the three-year Summer Start program? What were you drawn to initially, and yeah, just why you chose that route?
I can take the first one. So, I chose it because I knew that I really wanted to um take like a slower approach into your first year. I knew that, reading from like just talking to like law students and reading Reddit forums, right? The first year really is like it's stressful. It's a lot of work. The Summer Start program allows you to break up those classes, like Anya was saying. And I do really think that looking back, I don't think I would have been. I think my success and how far I've come is partially due to the fact that I took that approach for sure.
Awesome. Thank you. And how about you, Mikayla?
Yeah, so I heard about the 3-year program, the Summer Start program, from one of the deans of the law school when I shared my background with, which is that I'm a first generation college and law student. And I also took a few years to work in between undergrad and heading back to law school. So having this background and this identity, makes me want to look out for what I might not already know and be as prepared as possible. So the Summer Start program was suggested to me just so I could ease into it, because it had been a moment since I was in school, and just getting used to school again was important to me. And then just making sure that I'm able to process all the information and get all those advantages that were explained to you earlier. And I'm similar to Sam. I'm really happy that I did it. I think it helped me a lot throughout my 1L year.
Thank you so much. And actually, Mikayla, I would like to follow up with you and asking you to describe how your experience has been in the program thus far.
Sure. So, the experience has, I think it's just taken a lot of weight off my shoulders altogether, right? So in the summer, I took those 2 classes. I started with contracts and legal methods. And that meant that my fall semester following that, I had 3 classes, while the rest of the fall starts had 4. And I realized, oh, I have less to do. I can focus on the classes a little bit more. And then the following semester, I also only had 3 classes once again. And that freed up a lot of time for me to participate in pro bono early. So I got that experiential learning component sooner than I think I would have, because I had more time on my schedule.
Thank you. And actually, that brings me to my next question, which I would like to pose to both Sam and Mikayla. Does being in the Summer Start JD program impact your ability to do experiential learning opportunities like the clinics and co-ops, and of course your pro bono work? And Sam, if you can start.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually knocked out my entire pro bono requirement my spring semester, my first year. And that's because I was able to do this with the Summer Start program. I'm not sure if this was covered already, but you have to do 50 hours in order to graduate at Drexel. And because I was only taking 3 classes, I was able to spend that extra time to get that out of the way and not drag my feet on that for the rest, or throughout the 3 years. And so that was a huge plus. I was able to also like work for like I was able to work for an attorney, like really, really small, hour workload, but because of the Summer Start program and the lighter workload in the spring semester, I was able to navigate that opportunity as well.
Yeah, I think similar to Sam, I think I got more of my pro bono hours taken care of earlier. And, I realize that a lot of my peers are trying to catch up at this point now that I'm in my 2L, and I have a little bit more hours than they do. And, it's just nice to be able to have that advantage. I wish that I would have gotten all 50 of my hours like Sam did though, in his 1L. That's really smart.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you both so much for that. And so talking about how you enter the program, of course, you start off with a small cohort. It's a very close connection, very intimate. What was your experience like as you transitioned into the fall semester with the incoming fall cohort? Were you able to connect with students? Like, what was your overall experience like with that?
Yeah. When you join the fall students, um, you do have your like set of friends from the summer start. Um, but like what that really does is that it allows you to kind of like navigate that increased workload with that set of friends that you established over the summer, which can be helpful for, studying for exams or going out to networking events or um, anything really social that has to do with law school. I think that was a huge plus. Um, Especially with the networking part. Obviously networking is super hard, just to begin with, because you're essentially just asking people, to create a conversation at thin air, and when you go with that group of people, it makes it better. And I got that from the summer start cohort that I started with.
So, my experience when the fall starts joined us was, kind of having to tell them that I was a summer start. Like they'd be like, "Oh, I haven't seen you around, but like, are you an AJD? Like, where have you been?" And I'm like, "Well, I started in the summer," and I kind of explained that to them, and then introducing myself. But I mean, at this point, now that I'm in my second year of law school, I do feel fully immersed with the rest of the class. But I do have those stronger connections with the summer start students, because we're coming from the same place essentially, and we can find each other when we need each other and give each other that advice and that support. Because we've just known each other for longer. It's kind of like I realized recently that I've known a lot of those people for over a year now, and it's really valuable to have them around. But yeah, you get to know everybody as they show up.
Thank you both so much. It's a very unique experience. Thank you for sharing that. And so, of course, everyone wants to know, are you able to still participate in other areas outside of your courses? So things like student organizations, law review, or any co-curriculars. If you had considered, participating in any of those, or if you're currently participating, what has your experience kind of been like navigating that?
Yeah, uh, absolutely. You're still able to do everything that you're, able to, think of in the law school. I was the secretary of LAWSA, going into my second year. Um, Really, and I think the point of the Summer Start program is to get that initial, uh, foray into the first year, but it doesn't detract at all from anything that you might want to do throughout your law school career at all.
Yeah, I'm involved with the first generation student work, which I actually, because of the Summer Start program, I had more time on my plate and I actually helped to found that organization. And I think, if I still had legal methods and if I still had a whole bunch of legal writing to do in my second semester of my 1L, I would have had less time to start that student organization. So that really worked to my advantage there. Um, right now in my second year, I'm a part of the trial team. And that is really, it also made it easier for me to try out for the trial team because I had more time on my plate to make sure that I had the speeches for trial team memorized and that I could be prepared for that. So, yeah, like Sam said, I think that the summer start really helps you get your grounding in the first year. Um, and then you're just you're even more ready for your second year when it happens because of that.
Very good. Thank you again both for your answers. I do want to pose this last question. We've talked a lot about, your experiences and the advantages of enrolling in the 3-year Summer Start program. Finally, I would want to ask, what is one piece of advice that you wish you had known before entering into the program or even applying to law school?
I think well, I'll give you two in one. One is look at the bar passage rates for each school when you're applying, and look at the employment outcomes report for each school. They're legally mandated. Every school in the nation is supposed to release those numbers. Um, I wish I looked at those numbers before I applied to Drexel, but luckily, Drexel is one of the best in Pennsylvania on both fronts. So I really was able to look out on that end. But definitely when you're looking at schools, look at those because that's what matters.
Yeah, that is great advice. Thank you for highlighting our 92% bar passage rate. Yes, indeed. And you, Mikayla?
Yeah, so I can share what I wish I knew about law school applications, and then once I was in law school. So you had touched on timing of taking your LSAT and the timing of that. As a first generation everything student, I didn't know that LSAT timing was important as it coincides with the with application cycles. So taking your LSAT sooner is important, and I wish it's something I would have done. I was a little bit on the later side, closer to the winter months. But I still submitted my application and I was still able to notify admissions when my LSAT scores came in, and it still worked out for me. I just wish I had known that taking it earlier does help you get that competitive edge. I was not aware of that. But once you start law school, another thing that I didn't really know or take advantage of in undergrad is that office hours are with your professors are huge, taking advantage of those office hours in ways that you might not know that you can take advantage of them. One thing that you can do is take a practice exam, write practice answers, and then take those answers to your professor. Every professor at Drexel Law is more than happy to look over those answers with you and make sure that you are starting off in the right direction. So um, I started that a little bit later than I wish I had, and you should all take advantage of the office hours for sure.
Agreed, agreed. Thank you. That was great advice. Thank you both so much for sharing your experiences. It's very helpful. I hope you all found it helpful and insightful. And so now we're going to open things up to the audience and your questions. If there's something you would like to know more about, or, whether it's the workload or the application process, life as a student, feel free to drop any questions in the chat. I see Jacqueline and Ina have already answered a few questions. Let's see.
Yeah, and I'll chime in. I'm seeing a lot of amazing questions coming through the Q&A. A whole bunch of which we've responded to. So if you have not already, take a look at the Q&A and you can see some of the questions that we've already answered. But a couple that have come through, Sam and Mikayla, I don't know if either one of you wants to speak a little bit about, the Career Strategies Office and kind of how that has, helped start getting you set up for job placement and for internships a little bit too.
Yeah, and so the CSO, and so I have an offer to go back to the firm. I started working my first year. Um, and that was directly through the CSO. So the CSO has a job board. It's called Simplicity. That's where they post their internships for both, jobs, like actual jobs after graduation and internships. My first year, I was looking for a summer internship. I hopped on Simplicity, and my employer, like my soon-to-be employer, had a job posting for a 1L internship in family law and criminal law, which is what I want to do. And I started with them after I applied and got accepted, obviously, in my first year. And the CSO office, in preparing me for that interview, we sat down, we had a mock interview. They helped me with my resume. making sure that it was up to like the legal standard because it is different. I learned that my first year, a legal resume and a normal resume are different. And they took care of all of that, which obviously got me the job my first year. And I went back for my second year internship, and now I have a job offer for after law school. So without the CSO's help, I really don't think that this would have been possible. So.
Yeah, the CSO is great. I mean, they're just an invaluable resource. They when you don't even know where to begin, they give you a place to begin. I'll put it that way. Like they really make sure that you have somewhere to look. If you have no idea what you want to do, they'll sit down and listen to what you're thinking, and they will provide you with a list of firms, a list of programs that they think might be a good fit for you. Talk about what kind of experience you want to get. That really helped me, not really knowing anything about the legal fields at all. I was able to narrow it down and figure out what kinds of things I wanted to apply for my first summer. The CSO is also amazing when it comes to encouraging networking. Networking might seem really intimidating at first, but everybody is a person who has gone through law school just like you are, and they want to help you, right? So CSO has mock networking events. If you need business cards to be able to hand out to people if you go to events, the CSO will make them for you. They're very encouraging even when everything seems confusing and scary, and they make it all seem really realistic because it is. Like you'll figure it out eventually with their help.
Awesome. No, that was a great question. And thank you to both Ina and Jacqueline for helping to answer all of the questions coming in. I do see, looking at our Q&A, we do have a question that we'd like to pose to our student panel coming from Deshaun Jamison. So aside from the things that you've mentioned, what is your favorite thing about the Summer Start program, Kline Law, and the city of Philadelphia in general?
Yeah, so those are so I'll start with the summer start. The summer start is what I loved about it was the people, the cohort. And I think that, and I honestly, and this is my personal opinion, I think the admissions team does a really good job of putting people in the cohorts, that, work well together, that make it really a collaborative, not a competitive environment. And I really felt that during my summer start, my first semester. And Philly, it's the food. It's got to be the food. There's so many restaurants here. Literally, like there's so many restaurants, and I'm still trying to get to every single one of them, but we'll see if that happens. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, you can't beat the Philly food. Thank you, Sam. Anything of your experiences, Mikayla?
Yeah, I agree with Sam. Sam and I weren't in the same cohort. I'm a 2L and he's a 3L, and I feel the same exact way that everybody in the Summer Start program with me was enthusiastic to be together and encouraging, and it wasn't competitive. I really enjoyed being in D Notes' contracts class. I just think I had a lot of fun like during Summer Start. It was like I found my people. I figured out how everything worked early. And it just made everything easier in the long run. But it's similar with Kline Law, just the whole law school. I really do feel like my class is just loves each other. Everybody's friends, everybody knows each other, everybody says hello, everybody wants to help each other. I have never once felt slighted because of like something competitive going on, like you might think happens at other law schools. I have not picked up on a culture like that at Kline, and I feel really, really lucky that at a law school where I feel so accepted and encouraged and included with everything. Um, Philly, I feel like being from Philly, I think my favorite thing is just that you can walk anywhere to get anything you need. Like I love how walkable it is here. It was only when I started traveling to other cities that I realized that's really unique to Philly, and I wish every city was walkable, but at least we got Philly right.
Yeah. Yes, as once you leave, then you start to really appreciate the city. So thank you so much for answering that. We also have another question coming from Olivia Kamara. Are there any mentorship opportunities available within the program? And if you have experienced that, if you could speak a little bit to your what that was like for you.
Yeah, and actually, I'm going to even chime in to combine a few of the questions that have come through for that. If you want to talk a little bit about just the general support for, the Summer Start program specifically, and just like both either mentorship or just kind of support systems or any kind of, in addition to like any challenges that you faced that you felt like were, you received support around during that first semester in particular.
So obviously there's going to be, oh, it's not obviously because, this is the first time I'm telling you, but there's a Dean Scholars Program. So that's going to be like TAs for classes. And contracts had one. Legal methods, my summer start class had a Dean Scholar as well. And essentially the support for that was incredible. I think that because of the Dean Scholars Program, I was able to kind of blend in like all the concepts that we were like working on in class, and being that crutch because of like, the law is a new language essentially when you're first year. And having a Dean Scholar was and that kind of support was crucial to me just understanding what was going on in class. Um, and as far as like mentorship, I don't know if so there's the student mentorship and then there's an alumni mentorship program that you can sign up with for at the school. I don't think it starts in the summer. I think it starts in the fall. But there is that opportunity to have a student mentorship with like an upperclassman, like a 3L would mentor you as a 1L, or an alumni or an alumni mentor is also available as well.
Yeah, I think the Dean Scholars are great. I think that's another thing that's unique to Drexel Kline that you have every week you have students who have taken the class in the past explaining to you how they were successful in the class, and they have office hours as well. So they have sessions and then they also have office hours. So you can go talk to them at their office hours. I also talked about going your professors' office hours earlier. And that's not really limited to your professors. I think all the deans of the law school and other professors who you might not even be in their class at the time, everybody is ready to help you. And that was definitely what I did during my first year. Is I talked to the deans a lot and I just, shared my experiences and they were always there to support. Another thing that I would encourage is joining student organizations that you identify with. A lot of the student organizations at Kline set up their own little mentorship programs with upperclassmen with 2Ls and 3Ls. So yeah, I think that would be really helpful too.
See, and also just to remind everyone, there are a number of questions still coming in the Q&A box and the chat box. If you would like to just glance at those and see, what all has been answered thus far. There's quite a few really, really good questions coming in. Let's see. Are there any other questions?
I'd be happy to answer the question about the any challenges that we had during 1L. And this was about summer start specifically. In my contracts class, the whole class was graded based on a final at the end of the semester, right? That's how a lot of classes in law school work. But there was an ungraded midterm in the middle of the semester. And I took that midterm and I did not really know what I was doing as much as I thought I did, and I didn't do that great on that midterm. And that's kind of what I mentioned earlier is that that was my cue to start going to office hours and to start taking practice exams and really um, figuring out what my study strategy had to be. And I realized that my professor was 100% there for me in that process, and he was more than happy to guide me through what he wanted an exam answer to look like on the final exam. And by the time I took that exam, I did fine, and like I got a pretty good grade. And it was scary when I got my midterm grade back and I didn't do that great, but it's possible to overcome that and correct what you did before.
Thank you so much, Mikayla. All right, I see a few other questions still coming in. We've kind of touched on, what makes something challenging that you've experienced, but another question, what is for you, what was the most difficult transition entering as a first year student into law school?
So the first, so the most difficult transition is, I would say like the mental toll it takes. Um, I think I think law school itself is like like it. I think more than anything, it teaches you how to handle pressure. Especially when it comes to exams and how to handle your workload. And I think that a lot of people, especially like if you're coming from, straight from undergrad, or if you're coming, either or coming from a break in between law school and undergrad, it's a different kind of pressure, and a different level of mental like toll. I mean, you get used to it. Don't get me wrong. Like it's completely like you get through it and it works. But the transition of like training your mind in that way, is probably what hit me the hardest, um, in that first year.
Yeah, I think it's a different kind of self-discipline than a lot of people are used to, is the way I would describe it. I realized that I had to make sure that I was scheduling time for myself to get my readings done and to study. Because if you don't pay attention to making use of your time strategically, you realize that you might be falling behind a little bit. So just making sure that you're staying ahead of the game, and planning ahead, I think it was the biggest adjustment for me.
No, those are really, really great advice. I think we have a few more minutes left if anyone wants to submit any final questions. Again, we are still answering questions live in the chat box. If you can go and look at those, there are a number of questions coming in that have already been answered.
I can speak to a question that has come in through the chat many times where many students are asking, if you are not offered admission for the 3-year summer program, will you be considered for the fall program? And while the answer to that is no, a final decision for the 3-year summer start program is a final decision for all programs.
Great. Well, thank you once again for joining us today. A huge thank you to our student panelists for taking the time to share your insight and experiences. It's extremely valuable as our incoming students are looking for more information, just to hearing about your experience and what all to expect from the Kline experience. So thank you so much again for your time. Again, if you like to connect with us, we really encourage you following up. As you can see, we have our email at lawadmissions@drexel.edu, as well as our manager of financial aid who could not join us today. Her email is mary.m.drevera@drexel.edu. And so we'd also like to invite you all to our next webinar, which will send out information for next Tuesday at 12 o'clock, following up on the 2-year accelerated program. And so we hope that, this helped envision what your time at Kline could potentially be like. And, we look forward to reviewing your application soon. So thank you so much again, and we wish you the best as you take your next steps into your law school journey.